I believe sports can be more. I've seen sports being more, especially for grassroots. So I currently own two teams, two soccer teams actually, not basketball teams, soccer teams. So most programs struggle with community entry. If you don't enter the community in the right way, most of the time your programs will be either challenged or will have inconsistencies with people actually adapting the solutions you're trying to give. For you to receive support from the private drive as a team, all members have to have beehives. But for them, it's a whole value chain where they can earn income. Because the converse is, if they don't have money in their pockets, what happens? People give to causes. So someone would say, I support education for vulnerable kids, and they'll always give to causes. And you'll find them every single month, they'll be giving to a cause in education. Why would I build a big stadium for guys who don't have shoes, or for guys who don't have football? So one of the biggest systemic challenges I've identified that actually prevents sports from going is politics.
What does sports mean to you?
Can I say, what does basketball mean to me, or sports in general?
You can say, okay, what does basketball as a sport mean to you?
Basketball for me is therapy. So I guess if at my age I play basketball, we usually joke we play basketball because of preventing diabetes in old age and keeping fit and just like maintaining our small group of friends, our connection, our networking. So basketball and sports for me has become an avenue for like maintaining my mental health, but also because we play with younger people, like an avenue for mentorship. So sports for me it's a lot. So it's an avenue to mentor young people. It's an avenue for me to keep fit and always check if my body can still move. It's an avenue for me to check my mind, ensure that like my mental space is still, because it's a basketball is really, it's a contact sport, and there's trash talk and there's all this stuff. And if you've had a long day and you play basketball, all that just goes away. So I guess I'm hoping that that's what people feel when they play sports. But that's what sports is for me. It's a lot of things around mental health for me and for younger guys around our own group that we can mentor through sports. Yeah.
And from that, I pick 3 words: transformation. Second word is empowering. Third word is community. And maybe if I had add a fourth word is solution to a problem. And from your expertise, I know those are 4 keywords that really mean a lot to you in terms of how to transform, how to empower a community, and how to provide a solution through that. If we can begin your journey on what experiences shaped your passion for community impact, and how did they eventually lead you to establish an amazing thing that you're doing, the private drive?
My journey started a long time ago. So I've been in corporate for a while. I know I look young, but I've worked for the last 18 years.
Wow.
I've been in employment and consulting for the last 18 years.
Wow.
Started as an intern in 2008 and then grew through the ranks until now. I founded an organization, the Private Drive, as you've mentioned. What shaped my journey is I've traveled a lot. I think I've been lucky to travel across Africa and in Europe. And in my journeys, I've experienced like different cultures, different situations, because a lot of my work, especially in between, in that 18 years, probably like 10 years of that has been working in the development sector. So I traveled to like conflict zones. I've been to Somalia, I've been to Sudan, South Sudan. I've been to DRC during Ebola, like when there's like full-blown Ebola. Been across East Africa working. So just experiencing different cultures in their elements and, interacting with people really shaped how I thought about development when I was like in the workplace. But when you look at our backgrounds, my mother is a humanitarian. Without her knowing, she's a humanitarian, including my grandmother. We used to complain a lot that my grandmother, you can send money to my grandmother and or send stuff to my grandmother, like, for example, like shopping or something, and she'll distribute it to the entire community, the entire village, and would complain, like, this is for you, it's not supposed to be for everyone. But then I saw that in my grandmother, and I see it in my mom, like having that sense of community around herself, and even in the way that we were raised, back in the 90s. But then what really made me start thinking about development was one kid, actually. So we had a farm in Siaya, Bondo, where we used to farm. So once in a while, we'd travel from Nairobi and go to the farm. And then just walking around the farm, I met this random kid who was carrying, they're called uhuru bags, like these carrier bags, like the poly, I don't know what that material is called, but yeah, that the new material for carrier bags, the recyclable one. And she was carrying books. She was carrying her exercise books in that bag, and it was drizzling. That really struck me. So, like, I spoke with the child and asked, like, which school do you go to? Like, just trying to find the background of who she is and where she goes to school, and just observing her carrying books in a torn uhuru bag, like, just sparked something in my mind. I was deep in corporate, like, I'd rose to, like, deputy CEO of a company, and at that moment I felt sad. I felt the entitlement. I have a daughter, so I felt the entitlement that my child and children around my friends have for when, like, if only a zip is broken in their bag, I can just go to a supermarket and buy a new bag, or a store and buy a new bag for this kid. And that's the same child with the torn uhuru bag, and it's raining, and her books are being rained on. It's the same child who is going to sit the same examination with my privileged daughter. And I felt sad because the education system is supposed to make people equal, right? But there's serious inequalities when it comes to other stuff that would, like, predispose a child to succeeding. Yes, there's children who go through that and still excel, but a lot of them just drop off because they don't have the kind of support or the kind of, like, the other factors that you need to put in place for a child to actually thrive. So when I came back to Nairobi, I really thought, like, can I get people to donate bags that they have in their homes to go in and give to these kids from the school? And then, like, just researching, and I thought, in my other realms, I'm a very ardent supporter of recycling. Like, I don't like polluting. I usually hate when people, like, throw trash away, because I usually think there's another use you can put to things that someone calls trash. And one of my old friends was doing bags using recycled materials. So I thought, why not then create a bag from these materials that we can then donate to kids? Like, we can subsidize the cost of this bag up to the level where it costs almost nothing to pay for a bag for a child. That's how the journey for the private drive came. We started with just one bag, made from tent offcuts, and then it morphed into, like, banner materials and billboard materials. And now this year we are en route to do 3,000 bags.
Wow.
For kids in Turkana, Pokot, and Kitui County. The first year we gave around 350 bags in Siaya County, just because of that child that I met in Siaya. That's how the journey started. of course, it's morphed into many more things that I'll probably talk about in this interview.
Yeah. And people might not know, but you also are really active as an athlete. Still does play basketball. I wish you should see him walking. So maybe if you can tell us a little bit of how did you get into sports? What was your journey like being active in sports, and how did you now transition into corporate?
Okay. So sports has been a friend to me. So I started playing, of course, we started playing sports. What we had in our childhood was football. Everyone played football.
Yeah.
All boys played football. But then I was introduced to basketball actually when I was in grade 7. Now it's grade 7. Back then it was class 7. And we used to play, in our estate, we used to play, our hoop was actually a tire. And we used to play with a very smooth ball. Didn't even know how to hold the ball. Played intermittently because the guy who used to teach us how to play was in a high school. So we had to wait for him to close school to come and play basketball. It was a new sport. And basketball was interesting for me because I didn't have to use my legs. Football in primary school had broken my knee. And that was like the first major injury I had, and I had a really big cast all through my standard 8. And then I was lucky when I transitioned from primary school to high school to join a school that, I'm allowed to mention the school?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, so I joined Maseno School just when Otula, may God rest his soul, joined from Mango High School. So my interest in basketball found a proper coach. So that's how I learned the skill under the right leadership. So went through Maseno School, had my own injuries. I had like 5 dislocations in Maseno.
Wow.
Thank God we were young because we would recover properly, and then transitioned to uni. And I think I played really well in uni. Had fun in uni, met most of my friends, even the ones we hang out even now in uni. And then also played a bit after uni for KCB when Lions were still Lions. But then now complete transition to corporate, and I couldn't make the training because you have to be able to make the practices for you to be a player.
Yeah.
But then I've moved from being a player also to coaching, because I also coached for a while. I coached the Egerton University men's and women's team. I've coached kids here in Nairobi, in Buruburu, and in Syokimau. Just just passing the skill down. I'm proud to be coaching my daughter right now.
Oh, she loves basketball.
Yeah, she loves basketball.
Oh, nice.
And she's tall. For a 9-year-old, she's like really tall. And then I hope she'll be playing professionally soon. Yeah. And then I've also moved from just playing sports to owning a team, which is a whole different dynamic.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Tell us about it. Tell us about it. Uh-huh.
So I currently own 2 teams, 2 soccer teams actually, not basketball teams, soccer teams. So I know there's a whole different ball game. Soccer is very different. But these teams are not in Nairobi. So I decided to go and support teams in the mashinani, in the grassroots, where our projects with Private Drive are also part of that community or supporting that community. And soccer was interesting for me because, there is no village you'll go to in this country. I've traveled in Eastern Africa and across Africa. There's no village in Africa that you'll go to and you won't find a soccer pitch, whether it's a makeshift one or a nice one. People are always playing soccer somewhere in Africa, whether it's with a proper ball or papers glued together, people are playing football. So it was interesting. How I ended up owning a team was as we were moving our program from Siaya County to Kitui County, because I have other interests in Kitui County. We were looking for an entry point. Community entry is usually hard. So most programs struggle with community entry. If you don't enter the community in the right way, most of the time your programs will be either challenged, or you'll have inconsistencies with people actually adapting the solutions you're trying to give, or you just have like resistance from the community. So community entry is usually, like in my background with program management, I know community entry is usually like the critical point. So working with the with these communities, and working with the youth especially, because our programs were starting to focus more on youth, we thought the best way to enter the community was through sports. And the easiest sport to get in Africa is football. And football already has teams, and teams are already arranged in proper groups, and there's discipline, and there's hierarchy, and there's, like there's leadership across a team. There's usually a captain, a patron, what. So it was so easy for us to establish our program through entering through football. And one of the football teams, I have property there. So one of the football teams is established around where my farm is. So I just adapted them, and that's how I ended up owning a team.
Yeah.
Adapted them. We agreed on a membership and ownership structure, and what support I give, and what they provide for me in return, and like that's how I ended up owning a team. But the ownership is not really like how, for example, like a Manchester United is owned by whatever. It's more like there's an agreement on how that ownership works. So I support them with their activities around football and around empowerment, and they give back to their own community around, like farming and working with younger youth, etc. So yeah, that's how I ended up owning a team.
And the second team also just the same model, right?
Same model, more recent. Actually, I think 2 weeks ago, they approached me to adapt them.
Nice.
Same way I did with the first team. They are a bit younger, so the second team is more of a football academy. So we are approaching it more in the sense that we can develop talent and then push that talent out. So I know like most people who play football in Kenya would want to be recognized through like bigger academies so they can go play for bigger teams. But then like how would we then make sure that talent in the mashinani or in the grassroots actually is seen? So these guys are that platform for that county. Yeah. So I feel like because they have younger guys between I think 12 and 21, there's much more room for growth with the younger team as opposed to like the other team that has like more older guys. But within that structure of the community, I have currently 33 teams that I work with within the structure of the community. Yeah.
And if you'd like to talk about the model that these players have an impact to the community on what they own and what they do, it can help also shed light.
It's interesting. Sports is. I guess people think sports is only the like the celebrations when or when you're playing an opponent, or when like you're supporting your team from a different country, or just entertainment basically. Sports can be more. Like I think sports can be more. I believe sports can be more. I've seen sports being more, especially for grassroots. The model we work with is a model that allows community ownership. So like currently, the private drive is running a 100,000 acre corridor. We are calling it the hive corridor. So we are putting up beehives to restore that 100,000 acre corridor. And personally, I can't put beehives in over 100,000 acres. I have to work with the community. The easiest way to work with the community is to already work with structures that are already there. And sports does that for us. Within the sports team, so each team has like 30, 35 members. We task, the ownership comes with, we task the members to each own like 10 beehives, if you can, 5 to 10 beehives per member. For you to receive support from the private drive as a team, all members have to have beehives. And the beehives are not for the private drive, it's for you. So the kind of structure or the kind of model that you're building is like a cooperative model where teams are cooperatives on their own and they own these beehives. The beehives for us help restore the ecosystem, but for them, it's a whole value chain for where they can earn income. No? So because currently, like if Jermaine, if you had beehives, for example, and you're harvesting them on your own, you're only able to get like maybe 10 kilos per harvest or 15 kilos per harvest. But when we bring all players together, or when we aggregate from 33 teams, like we'll have like a huge harvest.
Yeah.
And the teams benefit from that. Yeah, that's the model we are running. So in that way, the teams can still sustain their activities, like their sport activities, but also like have money in their pockets for everyday stuff. Because the converse is, if they don't have money in their pockets, what happens? They cut trees and burn charcoal, and that's the thing that the private is trying to work against. We're trying to push people from the traditional practices for like that degrade the environment and climate and nature, and push them to more sustainable practices that actually restore nature while putting money in their pockets.
Yeah. Which is I must say, a great project you guys are running right there. And this is what Wima Sports is all about, bringing conversations that are not just about complaints, but solutions that, you guys as the private drive are impacting right down there in Kitui, and how much 33 teams being impacted in terms of sustainability, to play the sport they love, have something to put money in their pockets and sustain the operations of the team, and at the same time impact the environment as all that is done. And as you rightfully put it, sometimes we view sport, World Cup just ended. We think of the entertainment, we think of winner, loser, but sports is way, way, way much beyond that. How should governments, businesses now in the context of Kenya, context of Africa, and development partners begin seeing sport as a tool for community development?
Good question. That's a very good question. I'll take you even further down before we go to governments and corporates and business partners. How should people view sports? One of my biggest philosophies is usually to teach people around me about giving. Our culture in Kenya, especially our Kenyan culture of giving, is usually around 3 things: weddings, funerals, and hospital bills. Most of the times. Maybe you can add another, but I know 3. Our culture of giving in Kenya is usually for wedding celebrations and dowry celebrations, funerals, and hospital bills. Weddings probably going down because, again, weddings. But then for burials and like every month, I would find there's a place there's a WhatsApp group I'm being added to or being asked to contribute to for burial or a medical expense, because hey, that's where the society is. Medicine is expensive. But then, can we? My point is usually, can we find causes to give to? Because when you go to other countries, when you travel outside of Africa, the culture is very different. That's the reason why things like platforms like these giving platforms like
I know it. The mchanga for outside.
The mchanga for outside. What's the name? That one. We can find the name.
What's the name? The one you just made for GoFundMe.
GoFundMe is like when you go outside of Africa, like the culture is giving to causes. People give to causes. So someone would say, I support education for vulnerable kids, and they'll always give to causes. And you'll find them every single month, they'll be giving to a cause in education. Someone would give to a cause in health, or someone will give a cause to maybe maternal and childhood, development. Some people will give to cancer, some people will give to road development, whatever. But there is that culture of giving, altruism, basically. People find causes to give to. We don't have that culture in Kenya and in Africa. I don't know, maybe other countries in Africa have, but I know in Kenya we don't have that culture. And that's the thing I try to push, especially with my networks and my friends, to give to causes, find causes to give to. It doesn't have to be the private drive cause, but find causes to give to. Once that happens at the individual level, that then grows. Like corporates would then give to, governments would then give to causes. Like I know, like governments have money, but the priorities are usually very political. Yeah, like the governments would support development either politically, if you're politically aligned, you'd find. And I know this is a very political statement that I've made, but it's the truth. And again, governments have been in the fundraising and giving space for a while. So governments also need to stay relevant. So governments would do development work that make them feel and stay relevant. Because most of the actual work has been devolved to counties, right? Yeah. So governments, I feel like if they modeled things, governments and corporates, if they modeled development work or empowerment around the needs of the people and designed those programs with like a human-centered design, where you're actually designing with the people for their solutions and not top-down, then I think development would go a long way, including with sports. You'd say you want, and I can give you an example. We would want to build 3 state-of-the-art stadiums in Kitui County, but those guys don't have shoes to play. They struggle to just have balls to play, footballs. Yeah. So why would I build a big stadium for guys who don't have shoes, or for guys who don't have footballs? You get? So like that's the reason why, like, designing with people in mind and with the people helping you, being in the room with you designing, helps you build programs that actually support, like what their pain points are. And that's the direction that I think even corporates with their CSR should go or move towards. Like, have someone in your organization that actually goes to the ground and just listens to what the ground needs and comes back and designs a solution that has the voice of the people on the ground, and not just something that we think, seated in a boardroom, like this is a solution that can help a community.
That right there is powerful. I think we can even end at that right now. But we won't. That right there is powerful, and it's something we've gotten to see and experience over time as we, sometimes have engagements with different organizations and corporates centered around, even around sports development specifically. And, it's something that if you see the end result is really powerful, as you say, towards the impact that the corporate will have in the community if they listen to what the people want and co-create with them. And man, there is ownership of your brand.
Exactly.
It's just impactful, and that's a really powerful statement you put out right here. Your work gets you to focus on lots of problem solving for communities and through systems, just as you've shared right now. If you looked at the sports ecosystem today, what systematic challenges would you identify as the biggest barrier to long-term growth?
Oh my God. Again, so for sports, I think one of the things I have identified, one of the biggest systemic challenges I've identified that actually prevents sports from growing is politics. Yeah. There's a lot of politics around sports. Even when you go to the grassroots, a lot of tournaments are usually around leaders. So, there is not much opportunity given to just these things growing generically from the grassroots up. So like one of the things we want to do is with the 33 teams, 33 is it's a big number. With 33 teams, we want to do a league, a small league, not the county league, not the normal league, but this a small league. In fact, what we are trying to replicate, and let me look at the camera. This is Ronnie and Caleb. NBA. What NBA does, the Nairobi Basketball Association does in Strathmore, is what we're trying to replicate for football in Kitui. It's a very brilliant model. NBA allowed for teams that used to feel the pressure around the normal league to play, and then develop their talent and skills before going to the Premier League or to the normal league, the KBF league. And I thought that was brilliant. So we're not copying the entire model, but there's parts of that model that really works, and we want to replicate. So why I say politics is a hindrance to sports is, again, like I said when I began, like sports groups are very organized, and they're organized around youth, and youth have problems, and they're easily swayed, especially with political affiliations and gifts and stuff. And if we developed, when you think about sports development and you develop sports around like these tournaments, then we can't grow the sport. You can even see nationally the amount of challenges that, and I guess sports also there's a lot of funding that goes into sports. So a lot of money disappears around the politics that is sports. If we just had systems in place to ensure that funding actually gets to the right spot, I think sports, SPOT, I think would move a bit quicker as opposed to the way sports has been politicized. Again, since like youth are really organized around teams, it's very easy to like sway them. Yeah, I've seen it happen. Like it's very easy to sway people and recruit people around those teams. One of the things that we're really working, especially moving towards like the election period, to sensitize guys not to be influenced a lot around politics, because it really, all the works that you've put in place just negates. And when you think about it now, like systemically, nationally, when you think about like KBF or the Rugby Federation or Kenya Basketball Federation, KBF is, FKF, and all these other sports like volleyball, athletics, all the negative stuff you hear around, like player complaints or, like guys were not sorted out in medical or their accommodation or whatever. Like all the player complaints and the coaches' complaints always boil back to politics. Always boil down to politics. So if we can manage the political side of sports, I think we would move much quicker as a country, like developing sports.
Yeah, and funding is an integral pillar of not just sports development but also sports sustainability. Is huge. What sustainable funding models you guys are having one already at the private drive should sports organization begin exploring?
I think for funding, teams or sports in general, or sports associations in general, need to think about like who are they? So who can they attract? So funding. So when it comes to funding, specifically funding, in that space, we usually exchange impact, even for like a CSR. So if someone comes and says, Jermaine, we want to sponsor your team, the exchange, that's for the funding they give you, they're usually something that you give me return. So could be visibility, could be, like maybe a different activity you're doing. For us, it's, like the exchange's impact, the number of guys you're supporting, the environmental impact you're getting. So when teams or sports associations think like that, like what's that niche that we have? What's that impact that we have? Then funding would be easy for them. But also, when you think about how can we sustain our activities beyond external funding, and just critically planning around, worst case scenarios, you don't have money, or you don't have funding for your team or for your activities. Like, what do we do, or how do you go about it? That's like the building blocks of standing to understand like fundraising and funding and sustaining activities. So when you ask how can teams approach funding to sustain their activities, then it could be around that. Like, could you do like, for example, merchandising for, if you have a fan base, if you build a fan base, can you merchandise? Can you sell your merchandise to the fans? And can that then sustain a bit of your activities? If it's like corporates coming in to support you, can you then create like a corporate package that appeals to the guys who are you're approaching, so they can put money into your brand? Can your brand actually speak for XYZ different levels of supporters or funders? Because like, again, like you said, like funding in sports does not come as there's not many funders around the sports space. So how do you create that environment for people to see the advantage of funding sports through your brand, through the activities you do, through how do you say it? Like through activities beyond your game? But then again, sports is about winning. So through winning, like can you actually, if you're a team, for example, can you win enough for people to recognize you? And we've seen case in point in Kenya, like there's, they win enough for people to recognize that, hey, like building a fan base, and like you're building like a community of people that believe in your brand, believing, like you're a winning brand, and we can all like stand behind you. Yeah. So I guess in a nutshell, that's what I can say. But I guess like funding is a really like a broad topic. We will not finish it today.
Definitely. Impact is a keyword. Onto that, just to build into that, there are people who attract grants, through different things, like winning now in sports, and there are those who don't, but they're winning, but they still don't. What evaluates? How can you evaluate impact between the two scenarios?
For guys who are attracting and guys who are not attracting.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, like for impact is interesting. When you define what impact is for you, like, and be accountable to like making that impact, the exchange will come easily. So guys who, in my experience, most of the time, people who attract funding are people who actually make the most impact for the littlest cost.
Yep.
So it's cost per dollar, cost per impact. And the funder would check for whatever you're saying. If you match, for example, if you match with the funder's priorities, for example, the next thing they're going to check is, do you the cost for making this, what's the cost for making this impact? Usually call it cost per beneficiary or cost per dollar. So if I give you $100, how much impact, like whether it's social impact or direct impact to a beneficiary, would that $100 make or return? Like that social return on investment or return on investment, that's the impact that these guys are checking. So most of the time, guys who don't get funding, either they don't have a proper return on the dollar, or their model is not understood. And most of the time, the second part is usually it's usually sad when these guys are doing like brilliant work.
Yep.
like I know sports teams that work with communities, but they don't attract funding. But sometimes it's just because the way they present their model is not understood. So maybe work with someone who can work with you to present your model in a way that is easily understood and someone can see, like, if this is the journey of my beneficiary from point A to point Z, this is the impact that this $100 is making or this 1,000 shillings is making. Like it's so simple. And if your cost per impact is less, it means you're impacting more people, or you're impacting like bigger. Yeah, so it's those things. Like if like most organizations won't get funded because your model is just like, we don't understand your model. So like break it down in a way that you can understand, and also sometimes you're doing too much. Did you know you can do too much?
You can.
Yeah, you can do too much, and that then confuses your model. So someone can't follow, and that's especially to people who are really passionate about giving. Sometimes we forget and we want to help everyone and help every situation, and then it makes your model really dirty, and a funder can't put their money into a model that is not like really clear. Yeah, so a lot of people would miss out on funding because their model is not very clear. Yeah, but then there's the other side for like there's just people who like their cost per beneficiary is just the right amount and they're winning and they're like they're making noise, and they are findable. Again, you need to be findable.
You need to be findable.
Yeah, you need to be findable as an organization. So that means like use your socials, like always document the things that you're doing, give back basically through media, through, so that people can actually follow your journey. Day one, it could take you 2 years. For example, for the lady in Feed the Children, Feed the Children.
Yeah.
It took her 2 years fundraising and failing before the first funder trusted her. And when the first funder trusts you, funders know each other, by the way. It's like a pool of people who know each other. Yeah. So just be consistent. Like just consistently build until that one person is going to trust your model. Yeah. And they can vouch for you.
Yep. And your programs combine environmental restoration, community empowerment, and innovation. What lessons from initiatives that you've had, like Recarbonate, GBAG, Lumina Cycle, that could help, that could be adapted to strengthen, sports programs across Kenya?
Maybe I can tell the audience what so Recarbonate. We have 3 programs under the private drive. So there's Recarbonate. Which basically we're building like an AI run corridor, a hive corridor. We're using like bees, wild bees to restore ecosystems, but then the honey from those ecosystems support the teams that I was talking about. And then the GBAG program is where we recycle billboard and banner materials to make bags for young kids in school who are vulnerable. And then the Lumina Cycle program, which I really love, but I'm still building, is we're modeling around the community health worker. We're modeling like a level 2 hospital around the community health worker, where either a community health worker or a clinical officer is on call in those remote communities to respond to any emergency that might arise for people who can't make it to hospitals. And we are equipping them with e-scooters, so electric scooters that have like a mobile clinic in them. So basically miniaturizing the bigger mobile clinics, like you're just miniaturizing them and then putting it with either a community health worker or a clinical officer. So those are the 3 programs. The question is, how can people adapt our lessons?
Yes, to get to strengthen sports programs. Yeah, again, don't forget that. Again, is the reason why is as things go by, we are looking at teams needing to start establishing themselves as running programs that impact the community. federations, sports associations, clubs, and all these need to start opening up their mind to start doing such programs that impact a community, because it builds a natural way for that community to now still come give back to you in terms of, oh, we're selling merchandise. There's the ownership of the community and all that. Yeah.
And so lessons from those 3 programs is how can I put this? Like how we built the programs was like our biggest lesson. Like even starting to build the programs was getting the need, right? Understanding the need from the community and then designing the solution with the community. What lessons sports programs can adapt from us is just basically the same. Like understand the need around your community. You can build, like you said, I think teams should start thinking like organizations. Yeah. So when you start thinking like organizations, when you start thinking with that corporate mind, like it's either, like with the corporate mind, you're always thinking like, I need to push this product to the market, for example. That means I have to R&D the product. First I identify the industry problem that my product is going to solve, and then R&D the program. So R&D is where you're talking to the community, the customer, blah, blah, blah. And then once you're R&D, you develop your MVP, your minimum viable product, test it with your customers, iterate, and then now you push it out. Same thing. So if sports programs think like that, identify within their communities what solutions they themselves can give, or what opportunities they themselves might have for sustaining their activities through business or through merchandising or through a program. That way, they can design the product or the service in a way that it responds to the market. And the market is the community. Once they test it and they put it out there, then the community will adapt it. Like like the ownership and the pride with which the community would be, like consuming a product or the service. So that's a lesson I can give. Like just make sure you identify the problem or like the situation that you'd want to support as a sports program, and then R&D and design around that problem. Test it with your market, with your people, and then now once you deploy it, it can be sustained. Yeah, because that's what we did. Like how we are able to sustain 3 programs is because that's problems from
the ground.
The ground. They showed us that that's a problem. Yeah.
Then get the right need, right solution.
Yes.
Yeah. Technology is really changing so fast. I mean, they just ended World Cup. We saw referees running with
the cameras.
There were lots of drones, footages, and all that. One stadium was having over 30 cameras, just to pick different angles, offside and onside AI, sensors and all that. Where do you see the greatest opportunity for innovation in African sport and Kenyan sport specifically in regards to technology and innovation?
I've never thought about that. Where do I see the opportunity for innovation and tech in sports? I don't know how deep we've adapted in Africa or in Kenya, especially tech around, like for me as a basketballer, around something as simple as shoes. I know, like back in 2017, there's this company called Enda that designed a shoe that is specifically for running. And like the O&As have come up after that, and Adidas and Nike to also like develop like the proper shoe for running. But this Enda was developed for Kenya by a Kenyan. I'm not sure where that technology has gotten to, but I think there's a lot of opportunity for for learning, and especially learning how to adapt tech for sports development in Africa. The deepest opportunity, I think, is in something that you're really passionate about, in recovery and health. Something as simple as monitoring just how a player moves, because I think I've seen like in the NBA, like they monitor like player completely, and I'm sure there's AI models that can do that. Like monitor a player health, even their poise, their posture, and like using that to recommend either different physiotherapy solutions, or even different talk about like shoes to wear for different sports. That could be an avenue. I haven't researched it pretty much, but I think like just off the top of my head and my knowledge of technology, that could be something we could adapt in Africa, especially in Kenya, since like Kenya is really has really moved in terms of tech and AI and IoT and all these things, and like machine learning. We could teach our own cameras, for example, to detect when someone is playing injured, and recommend a solution. For example, people play injured and they hide. We could, for example, like in our basketball arenas in Kenya, introduce cameras that would help with refereeing and, like contested shots or contested decisions, etc. Yeah, there's quite a lot of opportunities that could be adapted, whether in small scale or large scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you are advising a young founder who's building a sports organization today, which I know some of them usually watch Wima Sports, what will be the three pillars, just three pillars, that they should prioritize to build something that lasts?
Three pillars for a young founder. I guess I'll go back to what I believe. Like just understand the problem and the market. Understand the problem in the market, or the problem in your community. Because when you understand the problem that you're trying to solve with your sports program, then it's so easy for you to build, like get the building blocks to build around that problem. And then think about sustainability. Like how would you sustain this? Whether do you want to get funded, or are you going to get money from your pockets, or like are you like how are you going to sustain your activities, right? That's number two. And then for sports organization, or for sports company, I think for me, like I said, like sports for me is I'm passionate about sports because it helps me with my mental health. So even when I support teams in Kitui County, I can see that the youth need the sports to, like whatever, because it's very poverty prone area. So like guys play sports too. Some people would want to go to entertain themselves with drinks, but there's this group of guys who come and train every single day to just calm down. So the third pillar for me would be like, what is that for you? Like what's why sports for you? Like what's that secret formula for you? Like why did you choose to do the sports organization? Yes, there is the problem that you're trying to solve in the community and the sustainability, but what problem are you? Well, I mean, not what problem really. Like what is it for you? Like what does it mean for you? For you first, because you have to like I have to love it first before I give it out to people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. If we can paint a picture where Africa or Kenya has fully embraced sports development as a tool, rather than just simply a competitive industry, which we can't take away from sports, what will that picture look like?
If Africa or Kenya can paint a picture for like the ideal.
Yep.
First of all, Africa loves sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, Africa loves sports. We love sports. Sports is like music for us. Like we have drums, we have, like we make noise. I guess if Africa can become one nicely, I think that would be, this is Africa. Like I know we have especially like football, we have like the Africa Cup of Nations, and we have like now BL for basketball. But if we can become Pan-African, like if sports can transcend borders, the same way we watch it on TV and allow people to, like I can move to a different country just to experience their sports culture. Like that would be ideal for me. Like breaking barriers around, especially when it comes to sports, like breaking barriers around traveling to view sports, or for Africa, that would be ideal for me, like allowing people to experience the different cultures around sports. For Kenya, what would Kenya do? Maybe solve our politics around sports, but yeah, but Kenya is like we are way up there with like the greats in sports in Africa, especially sports development. If we could move it a notch higher and have proper support, especially from the corporate world, the same way like other the countries that are above us, like the Egypts and the Moroccos and the South Africas, how corporates have adapted sports. If Kenya can move to that direction, and if Africa can move to that direction where, like corporate partners and community partners and government like really invests in sports that speaks to what the people need, and the people is both the players and the fans, would be moving forward. Kenya, especially, something as simple as like just having like a policy where, or pushing for a policy, like sports organizations pushing for a policy where something like insurance companies would be able to like either like cover sports injuries, because that's like a challenge, or like there could be a quota in like again, if you want things to move, we need to go policy direction.
Yeah.
So pushing for like a policy where maybe like part of CSR for whatever company, whether you have like every CSR or every company has their own CSR or whatever they fund, but have like part of that ring fenced for sports. Yeah, because like I said, there's always a football pitch in every village. So if every CSR can ring fence a certain amount for sports development across Africa, then we would move forward. And if it's a policy thing, then it means, if it's a policy thing, then it's anchored under law, and it's not like we're doing it at based on a whim.
Yeah.
If it's anchored under law, then I guess it has to be done, and sports would move.
Yeah. Yeah. And guys incentivized as well to do some of these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Onto the quickfire segment. One word, short answer. One leadership quality every sports leader must develop.
That's an interesting question. When you say one leadership quality that every sports leader should develop.
Yes.
So there's a difference between a leader and a manager?
Yeah, but they're both leaders.
Yeah, but it's very different concepts. And that's what I'm saying. That's a very interesting question, because I would have said leadership, because leadership is very different from management. Yeah. If, for example, if me, yourself, and Evander here are friends, and we decided to open a company together, for example, and like someone was interviewing you and telling you like, hey, how's the company? And you're like, we are doing well. Like me and my friends, we are moving forward. As opposed to, so there's that part, like where you start a company and you employ people, and all of you are like friends from, like friends from back then, but then compare that to starting a company and getting people who you have no idea their backgrounds, but then you hold them to account to a level where your company grows, So who is a leader and who is a manager?
The one with the new guys, totally new team, that's a leader.
That's a leader. So in sports development, or in sports basically, what do you get? When you run a team, for example, you're getting people with different temperaments, with different backgrounds, with, and you there as a coach or as the patron of a team or the CEO of this company that is running this team, that's what you get. And you need to be a leader to be able to gel these people together, to move towards the direction that you want your team to go. So if you ask me that quick fire question, then the reason I was laughing is because, or smiling is because you said leader thrice. And that was going to be my answer to you. Yeah, that was going to be my answer to you. I think the biggest, as a sports organization, one of the biggest qualities, not leadership qualities, just the biggest quality is actually proper leadership.
Proper leadership.
Yeah. And I think for guys need to know, to understand the difference between leadership and management. And leadership can be taught. Like you can actually go and get a mentor to teach you, how to be a good leader. Like observe good leaders. Yeah.
I'll ask you a question offset on that. One mistake that prevents sporting organizations from attracting funding. One mistake. Yep.
One mistake that prevents sports organizations from attracting funding is just thinking like within that box of sports. There's a lot more that a sports organization can do that can then attract funding, and then that funding then can also support like the other sports activities. So again, like we said when we were earlier in this conversation, is organizations need to think beyond. You need to think beyond like just the box activities around your sports. Like what else can you do as a sports organization or as a community organization or a sports organization within a community that can then support impact, whether it's social impact on people, social impact on health, social impact on the environment, that then attracts funding for you. Because traditional funding, there's very little traditional funding that goes into sports.
Yeah. Finish this sentence. Sports has truly succeeded when?
Sports has really truly succeeded when? For me or for everyone?
For you.
Oh my God, sports has really succeeded when? For me, it's, sports, I have fun around sports. So sports has really succeeded when it just flows. Like when it flows and people feel the energy that sports should come with, like the euphoria for winning and the sadness around losing, and like sports succeeds when that energy is at peak. Yeah.
We have two questions right here from our followers. They usually leave a question for our next guest. For young people interested in sports development, rather than becoming athletes, what skills should they begin building today? I know you mentioned one, leadership.
Yeah.
Proper leadership, not just leadership.
Skills. I don't know if accountability is a skill, but accountability is a big one for me. Like if you're developing a sports organization or an organization, just accountability, whether it's financial accountability to your team, accountability to your partners. Start learning early, like what accountability means for you, and then like keep yourself accountable. Put guys around you also accountable. Yeah. I said 2 skills.
Yep.
That's 1 skill. People skills.
And people skills.
Yeah, and people skills. You need to be a very good presenter. You need to be a very good negotiator. You need, like, your people skills have to be like top notch, because you're going to be dealing with different egos. You're going to be dealing with different partners at different levels, different conversations. Like when you come talking to me, who is I lead a social organization or social development organization, is very different from when you're talking to a corporate, when you're talking to like a Safaricom or a Rubis or whatever. It's very different conversations. Like learn the conversation, learn the language of the different guys. So that's your presentation skills and your negotiation skills. And also remember, as a young person, that negotiations can take, like negotiations don't have timelines. There's no timelines to negotiations. So when you have that in your mind, you know, today I can meet Jermaine and I have only 2 minutes to pitch to Jermaine. But then I've already planted that idea in Jermaine's mind. And we can negotiate in 1 year, in 6 months, or in 2 days to get a result. Just remembering that negotiations don't have timelines.
Yep. And it is kind of pegged on how do you build that relationship over time.
Exactly.
One practical thing that they can start doing today that would increase our chances of attracting future support. So that's a question. I think they're talking about community clubs right there on one practical thing that they can start doing today that will increase their chances of attracting future support.
One thing?
Just one thing.
Win.
Yeah. That's it.
So this is the thing about sports. I'm a sports person. I love winning. Winning is nice. Losing is not nice, but winning is nice. Losing gracefully is also nice, but winning is nice. So winning is not just winning competitions, right? You can win in very many different things. Like when you think about winning, like it could be winning your games, because that will actually, when you win a lot of games, what does that do for you as an organization or a sports club? It puts you out there. These people will want to even play friendlies with you. I've seen it happen. Like people want to play friendlies with you. Bigger teams would want to like do showcase. They want to do like showcase games with you, and that already exposes you to bigger media than what you're used to. So win. Like have that winning mentality, have that championship mentality for winning. Number one, and then also win in different places. Win around your community. Like your community always knows you are reliable. You know, like if I bring my child to your club, they're not going to fall into, for example, like maybe drug addiction or gangs or whatever. Like you need to develop that, that mentality where even the community knows that club is going to push, like it's going to build that winning mentality for even my child. So winning for me is not just like winning games. Like it's winning beyond the realm. The four corners or most sports are four corners. The four corners of sports.
Dan, we really appreciate your presence today at Wima Sports Podcast, and we thank you for the great work that you're teaching, not just Kitui, but the impact you're having, and which this conversation is going to have as a ripple effect from what you guys are doing and at Kitui. And we, as Wima Sports, we really appreciate that, and keep on championing sports development, and keep on showing up for those hoop games, pickup games once in a while. But as we wrap it up with the last question, if every sports leader watching this today remembered just one message from this conversation, what would you want this message to be?
Every sports leader. Build systems that last. Build systems that will outlive you. Those are the best systems to build. Like that's the legacy. Like just build systems that will outlast you. I always say, again, may he rest in peace. I think Paul Otula built a very brilliant system for us who were learning basketball back in the day. And we lost a really good leader, right? So for all the sports development guys or guys who are thinking about going into sports development, like just build systems that would outlast you. Do away with the politics, do away with the ego. Like just build things that will sustain beyond yourself beyond like people you started with, things that you'll be proud of. Like when we are aging, when we are graying and it becomes hoop anymore, you'll say, Jermaine, we built that.
Yep.
Yeah, we built that and it's still working till now and people are improving from the building blocks that we did. And just build systems that last and build systems that outlast you. Yeah, that's the one thing that I can give.
Yeah. And to wrap it up at that, viewers, build systems that outlast you with no ego and with no the big boss kind of mentality. And I've really struggled in this interview to concentrate because of one thing. But I made it. So I tested my self-discipline and really a sumptuous samosa here, courtesy of Osoita Lodge. Signing out, it's your host here at Wima Sports. Salute.
Thank you for having me.
Karibu sana.
Thanks.